everyone. This is Danielle, your reinvention rose queen and identity shift mentor. And I want to welcome you to a two-part conversation that is going to blow your mind. I invited my dear friend Corey, evolutionary astrologer, to talk about the upcoming Lionsgate. And this Lionsgate in 2026 is going to be the biggest one we have seen in or experienced in years. And Corey and I go into why that is, what this has to do with shifting your identity, both collectively and individually. And on top of that, I end with channeling, and Corey will be asking some really insightful questions about the period, this reinvention portal that mankind is going through to my guides. We hope you enjoy. Please watch both of the videos, and we will see you on the other side of the portal. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Danielle, and I am here today with my friend Corey. Hi, Corey.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and for this special transmission.
Yes, this is going to be a really, really special one because we are talking about one of the days that to me is as important as my birthday, and it's the 8/8 portal. We are going to really look into why we call this the identity shift portal. This is really one of the biggest moments of the year. But before we go into that, Corey, would you be so kind to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for this introduction. Well, my name is Corentin, but people call me Corey or Christian or Corentin. So as you may. So I'm a evolutionary astrologer. What does that mean already? Evolutionary astrology is looking at your birth chart, not from a fixed, let's say, perspective, but more looking at your placement and going, okay, this is what I'm growing into. So it's more from insight, a movement from insight to embodiment. And I'm also a fashion designer. It's another language through which I express my essence. What about you, Danielle?
I lovingly call myself the reinvention queen because I have gone through so many reinventions in my life, starting in corporate, becoming a jazz singer, all the way to what I'm doing now, which is more in the spiritual realm. And as a reinvention coach, I help women who are going through major life changes. And I really help them to move from an old identity into a new identity. So I also call it an identity shift mentor because I know a thing or two about what it takes to let go of the old and move into the new when it comes to your identity. So it has really become my passion to help people through those difficult moments and past certain thresholds.
I mean, amen to that.
Amen. Amen to that, brother.
Amen to that. And I must say, and the reason why also for people who might not know why we are together talking, which is also very important, right? To give a bit of
Yes.
context, is that um, I used to have a store and when I was really embracing, let's say, my awakening, I used to have store where I locally handmade wear, and I really, from a very shy perspective, put a little like tarot cards, and Danielle obviously spotted it because she's also very detail oriented. And that day I asked for a sign, and in that way, that was also a portal for me because we are talking about the AA portal. And long story short, we stayed in touch. And obviously, Danielle has been helping a lot of people with their identity shifts. And let's say in the past year, I've been also in a very big identity shift moment, not understanding what my astrology, what my love for astrology, what my love for fashion could actually make sense. And I've been walking that kind of portal, but I'm also here to help people through their identity shift from an astrological perspective so they can look at their patterns. So I wanted to just give a bit of
Yeah.
background on how we met. And that was such um, a beautiful way that was completely organic.
Absolutely. It was a beautiful moment. I walked in Barcelona where I was on holiday past this beautiful storefront, and immediately spotted the deck of tarot cards, which was somewhere hidden. And it really drew me into the store where I met the beautiful soul that is Corey. And as they say, the rest is history. And it also really feels like a divine and aligned meeting, because it was the day before I was supposed to leave Barcelona. So we were really meant to meet. And like you say, I think, you know, just to bring this in a broader context for other people to understand, I
Mm-hmm.
think it is so important when you are going through an identity shift that you are very aware of the signs along the way that the universe is giving you, and that you don't, because it would have been very easy to just walk past that store and brush off the sign that I had seen. But instead, I chose to go in, and it is a few months later, it is turning into a beautiful collaboration. So, which is very important also for the identity shift that I myself am going through. So, really, a message to everyone listening: if you are in a season, and basically the world is in that reinvention season right now, if you find yourself in that season and you're looking for answers, you're asking questions, what should I do next? Make sure that you follow all the small signs that the universe is giving you, because Corey and I met in January, and I could not have fathomed that we would be sitting down and doing this now, like 7 months later. That is just insane.
It is, and really, what Danielle just said is so paramount. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because I'm sure anyone, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you will relate. But that's such an amazing point, because when you're going through so much hurdle in your life, you can close yourself up. Just like the rose, open yourself up, because then you can really see, as Danielle said, the synchronicities. And in that moment, as much as Danielle opened herself up to enter the store, I opened myself up to telling her a bit my story, and that's when the conversation unraveled. And yes, as you said, little did we know that we would be having that conversation on the 8-8 for the 8-8 portal, which in fact, our meeting was a portal, and there's portals in our lives. But for us to walk through them, we have to be aware, and we have to be willing to give life a chance, even when life is a bit hard. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So let's take it to the 8-8 portal, which
Yeah.
is also called the Lionsgate. And would you please, Corey, explain a little bit what it is? What is the Lionsgate, and why is it so important? And
Yeah.
especially, why is this year so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the central message is that this portal is not asking us to become brighter by rejecting our darkness. It asks us to release what is not of the heart, to retrieve what has been hidden, and allow our true essence to become visible. And the identity that protected you or us may not be the identity that can carry us forward. So that is, I would say, the overarching theme of this portal. And and perhaps you feel as though you're standing between two lives, the old one that no longer feels true, but the new one has not fully taken form. And you may be questioning your work, your relationships, your purpose, uh, even even the identity you're actually relying upon. So in that sense, that is a huge portal for that. And maybe to give a bit of context to what this portal is. So Sirius is the brightest star in our night sky and is approximately like 10 light years away from us. And it's a binary system. We have Sirius A, the visible star, and the Sirius B, the dwarf companion. And Sirius is actually 25 times brighter than our sun. So that says quite a lot, and it's called our spiritual sun. And what fascinates me is that Sirius is not one star, but two, as I said. And Sirius is the brilliant light, the visible one, and B is the remnant of a completed cycle. So that says quite a lot as to what we are talking about with the 8-8. And then to give also a bit of background regarding the ancient Egypt and why I'm actually bringing that up, Danielle, is because obviously we know that we have an upcoming total solar eclipse, and this total solar eclipse will happen in Egypt around August the 2nd next year in Egypt.
Yes. Yes.
Completely aligned with the pyramids.
Yes.
So why that's the reason why I'm talking about that ancient Egypt. They were taking Sirius, Sirius for those who don't know, right? Very seriously. So in the ancient Egyptians knew that Sirius as Sobdet, and later they called it Sothis. And when, let's say, it comes back to rise around like the 8-8, that's why it's actually the 8-8 portal, it was the first signs that the Nile's annual flooding would come back and became associated with the renewal and the Egyptian New Year. So again, it's a beautiful also metaphor, but also something very real of something is ending and something is emerging.
It's like a real rebirth moment, isn't it? It's really like you said, the Egyptian New Year.
Yes, no, absolutely. It is for the Egyptian. It was the New Year. Something was dying, and they were absolutely, making offerings, and they were like throwing like some jewels that were not like for them anymore, and they were stripping them down so that they could receive, dare I say, a new identity. And they were taking baths, and we talked about the snake here last year, shedding the skin. Well, more than ever on the 8-8, this is what was happening in ancient Egypt.
Yes, 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 yes. And so, from my understanding, it's also because the portal officially opens a little bit earlier and it ends. So it opens by the end of July and it ends somewhere mid-August, but the peak is absolutely on August 8th, so 8-8. So that number 8 is also very important, right? It stands for abundance. Maybe you can share a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're totally right. The 8, we know that it's the infinity symbol. It's the abundance. It's as above, so below. We are deeply aligned with our soul, but completely grounded. So the feet on the ground, head in the stars.
Yes.
That is what really the 8 also is very. I associate it with the magician card in the sense that the magician um, we are asked to co-create our lives, and that's the magic of the number 8. It is what makes you feel alive, what makes your heart sing and create.
Yes.
That is what the 8 for me is, really.
Yeah. And I also associate it with the strength card, which is very much associated with Leo, right? The sign
Absolutely,
of
yeah.
Leo. So it's also about being brave enough to step into that new identity that is calling you forward. And I think that's a beautiful combination, the magician and strength, because in strength in the tarot is always represented by a woman, and the magician by a man, right?
Uh-huh.
And what I love so much about the strength card is that she is taming a wild animal,
Mm.
but she is doing it through energy. So there's no swords or anything like that. Just by touching the animal, she is taming, and that animal, and that animal represents the how would you call that? The more animalistic impulses of us, or maybe you could even call it like more of your shadow sides. And
Mm.
through her energy, she is able to tame that.
Beautiful. No, absolutely. I've never had. That's actually, yeah, I've never had thought about that. That's actually a beautiful way. It's absolutely that. It's absolutely that. And when you say that, it makes me think also that, I said about the Sirius A and Sirius B,
Yes.
because not, most of people don't really talk about those two. And I do believe it's about the divine feminine and the divine masculine,
Mm-hmm.
also being absolutely asked to be integrated, because, as you just said, Daniel, Sirius A is actually what is ready to shine. So it's your true essence, the heart-led expression, courage, the Leo, right? The beautiful feminine, the identity ready to emerge. So the question could be like, what would become visible if we stopped organizing our lives around fear, as
Aha.
you just mentioned about, the taming, or like kind of the shadows. If
Mm-hmm.
we stopped organizing our life around the fear, around the survival, around approval. And then Sirius B, which is the dwarf planet accompanying Sirius B, which is not really visible, it's the dark star, could be
Aha.
also part of that, what you mentioned, right? So instead of, it could be a completed cycle, an identity that was built through survival, hidden memory or old wounds, right?
Yes.
The feminine, the mother and the father wounds, the wisdom that actually was created through the endings, just like what you have lived throughout your life, and the medicine uh, that is not yet fully ready to be retrieved, but that can be imparted later. So, and maybe the Series B is asking, what have you survived that no longer needs to remain your identity, but still remains your essence? And uh, that's kind of like what the Series A and B makes me feel, as a response to also what you said about the cards.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you're making a great point, because when you want to change your identity, so many times the focus can very much be on what we could call Series A, like the newness. This is what I want. This is who I aspire to be. And Series B, which we could see like the old identity, might be seen as the villain, as like this is
Mm.
what's holding me back. What's destroying me. But actually, from my experience, my personal experience, but also working with clients, it is in the Series B, so in the old identity, that you find the seeds for the new one. So the one cannot exist without the other. You can't just plummet into a new identity without integrating the old one, without integrating the lessons, the hurts, the wounds from the old one, right? And it's so amazing to me that Sirius B is invisible.
Eh, what you say is such a beautiful. It's actually very visible. What visual? Sorry, what you just said. And when you apply that to astrology and then on the more pattern level and on your daily life, is some Series B, as you just rightfully said, is such a reminder that what is less visible is not less powerful.
No.
It is indeed what is the source, as you said, of the seeding, of retrieving the parts of us that will actually carry the. It's almost like Chiron. You know, we talk about Chiron
Yes.
as the wounded healer in our identity shift sessions, where we provide a 90-minute identity shift chart. I look at your wounds, the mother, the father, and especially the Chiron wounds, which is the main wound in your chart. So, what is the medicine you can impart? And then you have obviously the identity shift chart channeling with Daniëlle. This is Sirius B disguised as Chiron for this 8-8 portal.
Yes. Yes. And also eclipses are coming up, and I know that the eclipses are connected to the nodes, right? And the nodes basically, for people who are not so familiar, you could see them as your North Star and your South Star. So we have a North node and a South node, and the North node is where you're headed, so Sirius A, and the South Star would be what you're leaving behind, what is also very familiar to you. So Sirius B. With the nodes, they also have just changed, right, Corey?
Yeah, they have, and that's where, like, you know, just to give a very top level astrology, just so where are we in the stars, and how is that actually influencing the energetics, the harmonics of this AA portal, right? You mentioned the lunar nodes in a beautiful way, so I'm not going to reiterate, but they have changed from the North node collectively, right? The North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo have changed to the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo. So obviously the 8th of August is obviously related to the Leo because the Sun is in Leo. But not only is the Sun in Leo, Jupiter has also changed sign. It moved from Cancer to Leo. So Jupiter is amplifying the energy of the Sun and obviously of our spiritual Sun, Sirius, which is also like in Leo in the sense of what's happening there. But the Moon, Mars, and Uranus are in Gemini, and Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, and Pluto is in Aquarius. So just very basically, Leo is, as you mentioned, it's the heart, the visible identity. And the Sun in Jupiter and Leo, they will ask you what is ready to expand, Sirius A. What are you ready to create? What are you being asked to take more space? Are you expressing your heart or are you performing for recognition? Sirius B. Gemini and Uranus, it's about rewriting your story because they are both Gemini, Uranus and Gemini is the rewriting of your story in a way that can feel very sudden. And then the moon's movement through Gemini and in its contact with Uranus in Gemini really can symbolize an awakening, a sudden realization, a new language about an old experience, Sirius B, breaking an inherited narrative, saying that the story that you have told about yourself is not the whole story, for instance. And that can also activate your nervous system. Uranus is very related to the nervous system. So in that moment, especially as you mentioned, Daniel, that obviously this 8-8 portal was open, it's been open since, let's say, 26th of July and will be at its peak on the 8th, really quickly followed by the total solar eclipse on the 12th up until the end of August. So we're going to be in these heightened energies where we need to ground ourselves more rather than make really, impulsive decisions. And then on the bigger background, we have Aries and Aquarius that are saying individual purpose within the collective. And Saturn and Neptune in Aries, they ask us to give a real structure to an emerging identity, because obviously we are centering that around the identity shift. And lately, if I may, the Pluto in Aquarius ask, okay, but how do I belong to the collective without disappearing? How do I become fully myself and really be real with my identity, without obviously forgetting my essence, because the identity and the essence is very different, but still remain connected to humanity. And this is especially relevant because the AA conversation, as I say, occurs only 4 days before the eclipse. So it's really a threshold to just write this little part. It's such a threshold that really asks what is of the heart, and that obviously connects with your work, Danielle. The eclipse then will ask what remains when the identity through which you express that heart is temporarily removed. So that was kind of the scene of the astrology, and how it connects really. The 8-8 is what is of the heart, and the eclipse will go, okay, when everything is eclipsed, what remains?
Yes, 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 yes. So I love I love all that you said, but some of the things that are really clicking for me right now, with Jupiter in Leo, that in and of itself already is making this 8-8 bigger than anyone, of the recent years, right? And basically, energetically speaking, you can just see it as we get so much information from the light that is coming from Sirius. And if you are a sensitive person, you will have been feeling this. It's like more electricity running through your system, because light is nothing else than information in energetic form, right? So with Jupiter being there, as we have this 8-8 portal, the energy, the information about the new direction, the new identity you need to be forming, or that wants to emerge, will only be stronger. Yeah. So this 8-8, I advise all of us, also because it is known as a manifestation portal, to be really clear on what new identity you want to step into. And then what is going to happen when the eclipse comes on the 12th of August, just a few days after, is that everything that no longer serves you, that won't allow you to live that new identity, will be eclipsed. So and many of us have already been feeling that, right? Things leaving your life. And that can be very 3D practical things, but it can also be certain ideas that you had about yourself that now need to leave, that are being eclipsed out of your life. Like Corey said, what is the old story that you told about yourself that now needs to be eclipsed in order for the new story to be able to emerge? And with Leo, it is always about how brave are you, right? How brave are you to follow your heart?
Absolutely, absolutely. What you said is, and just maybe to, obviously, I do believe that anyone watching that also will be a sensitive soul, and as you rightfully said, the electricity of our bodies without, well, I don't have to apologize for what I'm going to say, but we are electric bodies, and I think our electricity is coming back online more and more, and there's more talks about the plasma body, right? The plasma is that energetic field we have around us, and on a personal level, I've been really feeling that electricity and that energy coming online, and in ancient Egypt, they would really take that time to rest,
Yes.
because as we absorb the new energetics and as we get ourselves connected to the heart as opposed to the mind, the mind is at the service of the heart and and therefore to the actions. So I would all really suggest a lot of grounding, a lot, just to make it really practical, right? A lot of grounding, a lot of nervous system regulation, and to really rest this week, because the next one, as you said, Danielle, we are followed by a month. It's a month corridor of eclipse, and I'm sure as maybe you have stories about what happened in different eclipses, but what can happen after you really got clear with your intentions and what your heart wants, it's going to ask you to be really brave to follow up with that. And that's when the identity emerges, but then it is being asked to be consolidated. So it can be a moment of tower, the tower cards in the tarot, but this is also where we will also see that as a collective, because you talked about the lunar nodes, because this the Leo on the 8-8, the sun is in Leo, Jupiter is in Leo, it will be conjunct, meaning sitting on top of together. It's the south node. So even the 8-8 is of itself a little eclipse, because we're being asked to release being small, of Leo, the lower octave of Leo. We always think like Leo is the ego, but the South Node Leo says, stop the people pleasing, stop shrinking. You don't have to be Sirius B, the dwarf planet that is little all your life. Allow yourself to be the full expression of your heart as Sirius A. And that South Node in itself really tells me you gotta release all the self-limiting beliefs you have inherited or you have carried about yourself, because it was comfortable to be that for others. But right now, you have to be that person that can carry yourself first. And that is what I think more than ever this 8-8 portal and eclipse corridor is going to lead us towards.
Yes, wow. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And what you were saying about the resting, I just want to add to that you mentioned the nervous system, and I've been given through my guides for a while now. They've been saying to me, you have to look at let's say your body was a house, and your nervous system is the wiring for the electricity in the house. And they've been sharing with me that this wiring is being upgraded because the level of electricity, the voltage of electricity that is being pushed through us is much higher than it was years back. So let's say, for example, you're living in a house that was built in the 1920s. That wiring cannot hold level of electricity that we have today or that is coming in the future. So that's why you might literally feel like your fuses are being burned, right? Because your wiring needs to be upgraded in order for you to be able to hold higher levels of energy that is being brought to us and that we will specifically feel during this portal, during this Lionsgate portal.
I love that metaphor, and it's so real. It's so real, is that the structures upon which your new identity will emerge, it won't happen unless the fuse or the electricity, the mechanics of it aren't upgraded. It's absolutely absolutely beautiful and relevant, and that's why from an astrological perspective, the week leading to the A8 is always rest, rest. And last year I was sick because I was not resting, and this week I will absolutely have to really take it a bit lighter because the energies of next week are going to be off the roof. And this is why also we are doing this transmission, and that so that we can also be of support.
Yes, beautiful, 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 beautiful. So, Corey, shall I move into some channeling? What do you think?
I think that is perfect moment, and I can't wait because this is my favorite part, and I'm sure that is going to be your favorite part to everyone watching.
Thank you so much for watching this first part. I hope it was really insightful and eye-opening to you. And don't forget to come back for the second part, where I will go into channeling and we will dive even deeper into the Lionsgate portal of 2026 and what that has to do with changing your identity.